Welcome to the show, everybody. Joseph Robert, the fantasy football counselor, continuing on with the fantasy football impact series for 2020 fantasy football. Today we are talking about David Johnson and his fantasy football value for 2020. I know there's a lot of question marks now with him being on the Houston Texans. We're going to answer those questions here right now. Is he worth drafting? I'm going to get into it. Let's get to the show. Welcome to the show, everybody. Joseph Robert, the fantasy football counselor. Welcome to the Impact series. We're talking about the fantasy football impact of David Johnson this episode. So before I get into that, guys, make sure you guys click on the link below. I've got the whole Impact series on a playlist here. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure you guys check that out. I've already worked on the impact of Todd Gurley, DeAndre Hopkins, and many more. Tom Brady. It's all there for you guys below. Smash a thumbs up, and of course, leave a comment below. Let me know, are you going to be drafting David Johnson for 2020 fantasy football? Curious to hear your feedback. All right, so let's dive into this. Oh, one more thing before I forget. 16-round draft solution. Guys, this is the first ever video training. I'm telling you guys, I give you the optimal players to draft in each round for 2020 fantasy football. Draft kits, cheat sheets, they're done. Guys, that's the past. We're talking dinosaurs here. 16-round draft solution is the future. Link below, or head on over to thefantasyfootballcounselor.com. Guys, this is the future. Everything's going digital. That's what we're doing. All right, so David Johnson, now we're drafting him. I'm going to get to the answer at the end of this video, so make sure you guys stay till the end. But I'm going to go over the facts, everything you need to know to get you guys fully prepared. All right, so let's go here. Now, he's on the Texans. We all know this. This was breaking news in a blockbuster trade. David Johnson got traded for DeAndre Hopkins. Mind you, the Texans got a second-round pick, and the Cardinals got a fourth-round pick. So again, Cardinals, they get Hopkins. Texans, they get David Johnson. And again, second-round pick also goes to the Texans, fourth-round pick to the Cardinals, okay? So let's talk about it. A lot of people think it was a rip-off trade. And a lot of people may say, hey, Joe, you're a little biased on this. You're a David Johnson fanboy, and he endorsed your brand years ago. You love David Johnson. Now, if you guys don't know the story, I was pissed off at David Johnson, but I kind of acted in haste. I didn't know it was him because there was this one game last season in 2019 where he was slated to start. He only came out with 1 point because Kingsbury benched him. But I thought it was David Johnson's fault because his lower back was bothering him. He's like, yeah, I'm good to go. I'm going to start. Sure enough, he was benched and Kenny Drake got the points that week. I was pissed. I ended up smashing the David Johnson card. I smashed it. Yes, I took a hammer and smashed a David Johnson signed rookie card 10 of 10. Yes, I did. It was about $350 worth of value. I posted on social media, tagged David Johnson, and he blocked me on Instagram. This was a guy that was endorsing my brand. I'd been to his house. I know I acted in haste, but understand, guys, if you listen to my channel, I'm fantasy football obsessed, so fantasy above all. So anyway, long story short, I'm his only ambassador now. I'm the only one saying it's a good trade. I'm still a David Johnson fan. I am wishing him the best. I was just angry that day. The aftermath showed me that it was Kingsbury that was the problem. Anyway, long story short, guys, I still like David Johnson. I'm rooting for him. I'm still blocked off David Johnson's Instagram, so make sure you guys go tag me or whatever and say, hey, unblock Joseph. He actually likes you, and it was a big mistake because he didn't know Kingsbury was a bit of a dick. All right, so let's answer some questions. His fantasy impact here. He is on the Texans. Understand, guys, I'm looking at the stats here. Carlos Hyde had 240 attempts last season. Duke Johnson, 83. Carlos Hyde now a free agent, which opens things up for David Johnson. So let's talk about opportunity first, then we're going to get to his actual talent. Now, I'm looking at this. Carlos Hyde had 245 attempts, 1,000 yards, 1,070, 4.4 yards per carry, 6 touchdowns, but only, now I'm going to pull this up in PPR, only, guys, 153 fantasy points. Unacceptable, guys. Let me pull this up in standard as well. Who plays standard anymore? Do you guys play standard? 143 standard points. He didn't get it done. Only 10 receptions, guys. Did not get it done from a fantasy point of view. 83 targets, or 83 attempts went to Duke Johnson. 44 receptions to Duke Johnson. Now, the opportunity is there. So if we're looking at 245, 83, there's over 300 attempts there available for David Johnson. The big question is, are the Texans going to utilize him? I'm going to say yes, they are. So opportunity in regards to volume is there. Understand, this was taped before, recorded tape. Who uses tape anymore? Recorded prior to the NFL draft. So I do not know if the Texans are going to acquire a rookie running back. They could potentially come in and hoard some volume away from David Johnson. I do not feel Duke Johnson is a threat, maybe a little bit on third downs in the passing game, very possible. But in regards to volume, I think David Johnson, as of right now, is going to get it. Okay, so that's really good news. That's a plus. Now let's talk about David Johnson's talent. A lot of people will remember 2016 where he tore it up, over 2,000 all-purpose yards, that's rushing and receiving. He had 20 combined touchdowns, 16 on the ground, 4 receiving. Pretty phenomenal. 407 PPR fantasy points. Phenomenal. We know what happened in 2017. He caught the ball, he was running, somebody came, impacted, I think it was a defensive back, came in, smashed into him, shattered the wrist, walked out, limped off with the wrist. He was done for 2017. 2018 had a mediocre season, still finished top 10 in PPR, finished 9th in PPR, not bad with 246 points. Not the most exciting because he had a ceiling back in 2016 with the 407. Everybody was excited about those points. Hasn't lived up to the hype, and we all know what happened in 2019. Kenyon Drake came in, had a few good games, looked a little better in that higher octane offense with the Cardinals, and David Johnson was pushed to the sideline. Now, a lot of people saying David Johnson looks sluggish. Understandably so. He didn't have that pep in his step that he had in 2016, but still, David Johnson is still elite talent. After meeting and speaking with him, he hated haters. Not hated them, but he always said the haters were on him, and he was always out to prove them wrong. So he's got that competitive nature, and I really feel after what happened to him with Kingsbury and the Cardinals, how he was pushed to the sideline, and I had never seen anything like this. A workhorse running back pushed to the sideline for a guy that had years to wow us, and we weren't wowed with the Miami Dolphins. Listen, David Johnson still has a lot of juice left in the tank, and I still think he could shine. Now, the advantage to David Johnson for the season is the fact that I think he's going to be a little bit underrated. We know the copy and paste rankings. We know that he's going to be underutilized. As of right now, March 24th, he's currently sitting 28th on the consensus rankings amongst running backs. So I'm saying that he's going to be phenomenal value, and I think people will sleep on him. Let's make a little point here. He had, I believe it was, what was it? He was set for a 300-point season potentially on the Cardinals in 2019 had he been playing. Now, he had 121 points in 6 games approximately. And again, there's a ton of upside. So he was projecting quite a few points last year. He could have finished top 10 easily on the Cardinals, but again, was sidelined. So if you're looking at all of these facts, guys, I'm not being biased. I'm looking at facts. I'm looking at upside. I'm looking at a series of unfortunate circumstances that happened over the past couple years. I'm looking at all of the variables here, and I'm saying David Johnson has a ton of upside. Now, I'm not saying go draft David Johnson in the first round. Not saying that. But what I'm saying is that you can get amazing value for David Johnson mid to late rounds. Maybe even the 3rd round I'd probably pay for him. But again, that depends on the average draft position based on fantasy football mock drafts. It's up to you guys to do the drafts, see where he's going, and make sure you get him for the best possible value. Now, to answer the question, do you draft David Johnson for 2020 fantasy football? Heck yes. You draft him with confidence, unless otherwise stated by the Fantasy Football Counselor podcast. And of course, guys, I will be releasing more up-to-date videos on this, top 10 rankings, everything you need to know for Fantasy Football 2020. But again, make sure you guys watch the playlist on the Impact videos. I've got a lot of energy, guys. I am excited for the season. And again, to answer the question about David Johnson, I'm laying out the facts here. There's opportunity. The talent is there. Last year, had he not been benched, it could have been a 300-plus fantasy point season. The upside is there for David Johnson. Do not sleep on him. The talent is there. Draft him, but make sure you guys go robust RB to cover yourself. Backup plan for backup plan for backup plan, and that's the bottom line. There's your analysis. Make sure you guys click subscribe, leave a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Again, are you drafting David Johnson? Do you trust the analysis that I've just laid out before you? Do you believe in him? I'm going to say, yes, I do. Do you? Curious to hear your feedback. And of course, guys, get the 16-round draft solution at thefantasyfootballcounselor.com. And I will see you guys in the next video.